Hey there, this is Joe Diasana, hashtag Howdy from Houston, hashtag The Property Joes. And today's conversation is about your monthly payment. For you buyers out there that are considering purchasing a home, there can be a lot of confusion, or there can be a lot of information that can be overwhelming or contradictory. So I wanted to break it down so you understand what it is. Let's start out with a great message. The message is you don't live in the price of the home, you live in the payment. You don't live in the price, you live in the payment. So what does that mean? So the average price in Houston is $300,000. We'll use that for an example, right? So some people say, hey, I bought a house, it's $300,000, la, la, la. However, when you look underneath the details, or you look at the details underneath the hood, you actually live in what we call the payment. What can I afford month to month to keep that house? It's a very, very slight nuance, and it's super important to understand. So let me give you a phrase. It's called PITI. P-I-T-I. P-I-T-I. Now, when people talk about mortgage, they're actually talking about this. P-I, and that's it. So that's principal and interest. And there's a lot of websites out there that can calculate that. So if in that $300,000 example, if I put 20% down, right? So the balance of $300,000 minus 20%, which is 60, is $240, right? Then you run your calculator, and this is all based on the current mortgage rate, right? So that will give us a payment component. But that's not all. Wait, there's more. The PITI, the T and the I, the second I, is taxes and insurance. And that completes your monthly payment. Oh, but wait. If I live in a subdivision that has an HOA, it's really PIT-I, not pity, PIT-I. So let's break it down again, right? So, principal, interest, your mortgage. This is the bulk of your monthly payment, principal and interest. And when you look at the amortization schedule, it's incredible how much interest you pay. So we can talk a little bit about biweekly payments and reduce the amount of interest that you're paying over time, because you pay almost 3 times the amount if you stay in that loan for 30 years all the way out. So I'll talk about 30 years. So principal and interest, important thing. What affects this, most people think, is credit. That's partially true. Everybody focuses it. It's actually a narrower range. For example, in that $300,000 example, there's a couple options for down payment: 3.5%, 10%, or 20%. So 20% is $60,000. 10% is 30, and 3.5% is roughly, oh my gosh, so 10,500, right? So the balance is the loan, and that will directly affect your monthly payment. So affordability, we don't live in the price of the home, we live in the payment. Affordability is directly affected by how much you put down. Now, the nuance is the credit score, right? So you have to have a credit score enough to get a loan, and that's roughly, there's some places, some lenders will give it around 560, 570. Others do not. They have to have at least 600, 625. Great credit score is in the 7s. Okay, you don't have to have a perfect credit score of like 800, 820. I've seen that before. So PITI, directly affected by down payment and then credit. So TI, the next component of your monthly payment is your taxes and insurance. And this is all dependent upon location. So it's not just a $300,000 house in Houston. It could be a $300,000 house in Pearland or a $300,000 house in Katy. All have different tax rates. So the second T is your tax rate. For example, in Houston, our tax rate roughly is 2.5 to 2.7. But if I pick a property in a new subdivision in Katy, it could be 3.2, which is about 0.5, 0.7 to 0.5 more than the other property. So when you're selecting homes, pay attention to your tax rate. If you're going into a new subdivision and you love the amenities and you love, it is what it is, you're paying for the utilities and all those, the development, the roads and the pipes and for the water and the lights to get to that subdivision. You're paying for that in the T or the taxes component. So it's dependent on absolutely by location. The other is insurance. Now, you need property and casualty. Please, please, please always get some sort of major disaster insurance. I had a client who bought a condo cash, and it was the lower condo. There's 2-story. The upper tenant put diapers in the toilet, and it flooded her unit down below. She didn't have insurance, so she came out of pocket. So please, please, please get insurance. Property casualty, flood. The conversation in Houston has changed. If you're not in a flood zone, you still need flood insurance. We're now changing that conversation. You should always get it. We always recommend it, your choice. The I also represents location, where you are. So there are some places that are close to a bayou. It is required, if you're getting a loan, it is required to get flood insurance. There are other places, depending upon the county, Galveston and Brazoria, because they're down by the coast, you have windstorm insurance. So that also affects your monthly payment. So you may have for sure an increase in your flood insurance because you're going to get it. And then you may have another increase because of your windstorm, because you picked, where did you pick? Pearland, down by Galveston, or Friendswood, down by Galveston, right? So super important. So you have PI, we discussed that, down payment and credit score affect that, mostly down payment. The location which you pick is your taxes and insurance. Newer the neighborhood, higher taxes. The location, physical location, whether or not you're going to have windstorm or not, flood insurance, mandatory or not, preferred rate. And the final thing, obviously, is HOA, also a component of location, right? And if you have a ton of amenities, like Bridgeland has this, what is it? The American Ninja kind of sports facility. They're building that in there, and they have all this really cool stuff. Some neighborhoods like mine, they only take care of the front and the end of the street, and it's just lawn maintenance and trees, right? So landscaping and stuff like that. So it just depends. Again, location, it will depend on the pricing will depend on this section here. So PITIH. It was pity, but it's pit to determine your monthly payment. So hopefully this is helpful, and hopefully that clears up the message. So where you pick is going to determine this piece. How much you put down is going to determine how much you live in the payment. That's that for today. Joe Diasana, hashtag Howdy from Houston, hashtag The Property Joes. We are here to help, here to serve, helping homeowners achieve homeownership one family at a time. Ciao.